Hey, welcome back. You are tuned into the Village Motherhood Edition podcast, and I am your host, Natasha. If you are new here, hey, how are you? But if not, hey girl, hey, how you been? How you been living? What you been doing? How them kids treating you? Are you happy that they back in school? I know that I am, because my two kids was about to drive me nuts. Um, so I'm back. Hope you missed me. Just a little bit about me. I work for a school age services program, just in case you didn't know, and we offer summer camp. So for the last 10 weeks, I have been outside in the South Carolina summer heat, enriching the lives of our youth. And now summer camp is over, school has restarted, so I am back to my regular schedule, which gives me more time to be here with you. So today in the guest chair, I have Miss Chia Mosley. And a fun fact about Chia Mosley is her dad was Roger Mosley from the original show, Magnum P.I. He played the character of TC, who was the helicopter pilot. Now, you would have to have been born in the 1900s, as Charlemagne would say, to even know what I'm talking about. But for those of y'all who happen to be younger than me, you can just go on YouTube. I'm pretty sure there'll be some old episodes of Magnum P.I. and you can see who Chia's dad is. But Chia is here on the show today for a completely different reason, because she is blazing her own trails with her website, pregnancy over40.com. So I'm going to give you a little bit about Chia before we get right into the interview. Chia Mosley has emerged as a beacon of hope and inspiration as she embarks on a new life chapter. Conceiving naturally at 46. Listen to that, ladies. She naturally conceived her daughter at 46. She overcame the stigma associated with a geriatric pregnancy and inadvertently ignited a flame of hope among women facing similar challenges, those striving to conceive later in life, and those who were single in their late 30s and 40s. She was initially apprehensive about discussing her pregnancy, so Chia turned to social media to navigate her own insecurities and has since garnered a dedicated following. So listen, if you know somebody that is struggling to conceive, or if you're having the issues yourself, take a listen to this episode. I think that you will enjoy it. She is such a bright star. She's so relatable and easy to talk to. So I think you'll enjoy this episode. So let's get started. Hey, Chia, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm fantastic, Tasha. Thank you for having me.
Girl, thank you for coming. I know that with a new little one, you are very busy. So how is motherhood right now for you?
It's fun. It's really, really fun watching her transition. So now she's like into toddlerhood.
Okay.
So, she's walking. She's like, don't hold my hand. I know where I'm going. She's into everything. She's bossy. She's chatty. So it's a very interesting to watch, like how quickly things evolve. We're also in tantrum phase right now too.
Yikes.
It's so good. It's so good. Like she just lays on the floor.
This is about the time their personality shows up. And you're like, oh, okay.
Exactly. And she it's all there. It's all there. She's so funny. And she's so bossy with daddy. She's like, Dada, I got finger and all. I'm like, well, she might look like him, but it's very sisterly on the inside.
So I reached out to you on Instagram after following you, because I've been following you for a while now, because I'm very interested in your journey. And I sent you a DM, and the DM was, is this the happiest you've ever been?
Right.
So I want you to answer that question for my audience. Is this the happiest that you've ever been?
Yes. So I think you caught me on the tail end of making a post about that, because a good friend has been following my story on social media. And she asked me, she said, wow, is this the happiest you've ever been? And the question kind of stunned me, because I was like, when I looked at it, it took me a minute, and I looked at it and I was like, actually, no. And I think that answer would surprise a lot of women, because I look so happy, and I am so happy, but this is not the happiest I've ever been. Right. And so, I looked at it and I was like, well, why is that? Why is that? And I feel like I need to let the fans know, your fans. Yes, my fan is blowing. So there's a little, there's a little Hollywood added.
She's got the Beyonce going, okay? She's got to have the fan in the hair. It's the Beyonce.
Yes, it's a lot. In Florida, the humidity is high. I just need a little extra. So anyway, her question did kind of catch me off guard. And so I took a look at why is it that I'm not the happiest I've ever been? And I was like, that's because there have been times in life where I have been striving for goals. I have been extra involved. Like, I look at my time when I was in graduate school, went to University of Nevada, Las Vegas, was in their hotel college, head of the Black Graduate Student Association, had a lot of friends, concerts, fights, just, and the hope for the future was so bright. And I think that when you're in one of those moments where you're like creating your future and you're popular and you have a lot of friends and there's a lot of activity and new things to do, that creates an elation, a true sense of
Yeah.
happiness. Like, I was truly happy, right? And that was probably the time of my life, one of the times where I was like extremely happy. In motherhood, when you have a baby, so much gets stripped away of you, because now it's about the baby. It's no longer about planning vacations, at least not initially, right? It's no longer about even being able to go grocery shopping. Like, so much of the basic things or the grander things that you used to be interested and involved with go away.
Hmm.
And you become so focused on trying to raise this little person who has no faculties on their own, right? Like, they can't sit up, they can't walk, they can't talk, they can't even really swallow.
Sure.
And so all of your energies and attention gets dived down into this one little bundle, right? And that is not total happiness. You're sleep deprived, you're not eating. Simple things like taking a shower on a daily basis become like a really big deal. Being able to just simply take a walk for a few minutes, like those little moments become big deals. So this is not what happiness is comprised of. But I will tell you this, what it has been for me, it has been the most love that I've
Wow.
ever experienced. Right? Like, the thing, like, I almost, oh, okay, go back in there.
Oh,
We don't have, this is not what this is about. But the love,
girl, good.
Oprah moment, Oprah moment. I have not experienced this degree of pure, unadulterated, like, she doesn't have to give anything back but smiles,
Oh,
love. This is the most in love I've ever been. And then add to that the completeness that I feel now that I have a family. I didn't understand, as I got into my late 30s and 40s, where I started accepting that I was not going to become a mom, right? I started to lose sight of the value of having my own family, because the hope behind it just was dwindling away. And not even like in a sad way or anything like that, but just like I was accepting, like, I was not going to have that. And I was getting to be okay with it. But now that I have it, I am so complete. To make that transition from single woman to, okay, now I'm in a relationship, couple, to family. There is such a security and a beauty and a comfort and a wholeness that comes from, now I am a matriarch. Right? We are a unit. When we go out as a unit. Oh, where's your hubby? Where's the baby? If I go out by myself, now it's like, well, where's the family? Where's the baby?
yeah.
Where's Lauren? Where's he? And so it just has evolved me into something else that is so special. But, only now, like, now that Naomi's a bit older and I'm starting to take this whole journey of mine and make it into a passion project, is the other joy that got put on pause starting to come back to me. Right?
Okay.
Because now I have things that I'm working on to fulfill me. When that baby comes, you are not in self-fulfillment mode. You are not in man fulfillment mode. You are not in group fulfillment mode. Like, all these other things that you could be a part of and contributing to, that go just to the baby. Well, now that she's getting older and I'm starting to lift my head up and I'm starting to be able to contribute to more and more, that happiness is being restored.
Want to say that's probably the realest answer I've ever gotten as far as happiness and motherhood. And I know that there was a time, or um, some people say, oh, you're bringing life into this world. You have this beautiful new baby. You should be happy. But nobody talks about how your life changes once you have a baby, because now you have somebody who is completely dependent on you, completely 24/7, 365, until they get older and they start to become a little bit more independent. they are completely dependent on you. And I will tell you that with my oldest, I was a single mom and I was in the military.
Wow.
I thank God that I had family to kind of step into my motherhood duties for me because I was always deployed. And then
Oh,
with
wow.
yeah, I've got 5 combat deployments under my belt.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yep. So when it was time for me to retire at 20 years, I was like, peace.
I bet.
So, and then with my youngest daughter, Corey, there's a 16-year age gap between my oldest child and my middle daughter, Corey. Um, I was at the tail end of my military career. I was getting ready to retire, so I was able to do more and experience more with her. But showering, eating, sleeping, all of those things that I was so used to, it kind of seemed like it was taken from me.
Yeah.
Like, and I think oh God, for the first 3 months of Corey's life, I think I may have lived off of Oreos and
Mm.
chips. Like, cause I just got whatever that I could eat.
Yeah.
Um, because I was exhausted because I've been pulling night duty because my husband had to go to work, and then I was at home with this baby, and then eventually I went back to work. Now with my son James, it was COVID, so we were here all the time, and that was definitely an experience. But yeah, it changes. And now that they're older and Corey's 7 and James is 3, I can do stuff like this, like my podcast and finish school. And it almost kind of seems like I'm getting a portion of my life back.
That's right. You start to recoup little pieces of
Just,
yourself. Like one little one, like look at my
yeah.
nails are done. Ooh, I
Yeah.
get that. Oh, my nails are done. Okay, great. Yeah. Oh, one I'm gonna get my eye. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, girl. Yeah, I can come to that party. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can. Yeah. It's something that I think needs to be spoken about, because if there's a woman or even a man who has the idea that by bringing a baby into their relationship is going to improve things, that is an untruth. It's actually going, for a moment in time, tax things. So it's so important that you guys are both as solid as possible, that the relationship is solid,
Mm-hmm.
and that you as individuals are solid, because you only have time for one baby. We don't have time for daddy to be a baby and whining or whatever, or mommy to be down and out. It's really important that you guys are both ready. And if you're not both ready, then wait until you are, because somebody's got to go to work. So
Mm-hmm.
if it's him, then you got to let him sleep. So that means you got to hold up the duty. But if mommy is sick or not doing well and he still has to help her stay up and go to work, you can't be fighting about that.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be fighting about that. Like, you have to be willing to have each other's backs, right? Like, there was many a mornings where he would get up with Naomi, like he would get up at 7 and let me just sleep an extra 30 or 40 minutes before he went to work, just so I could like have that, you know what I mean? So you have to
Yeah.
have each other's backs and not be at each other's backs going into it, right? And
Absolutely.
so
Yeah.
that you can be a support system for one another. Um, and that kind of leads me to something else, if you don't mind, because a lot of my followers do ask me to about self-care. Can we talk about that? I'm so sorry. I
Oh,
know.
absolutely. No, you're good, girl.
We good on that, because that question
Yeah.
comes up a lot. Because at the end of the day, what I have found interesting is that I actually have more energy now. I'm 48. I'll be 49. So timeline wise, I conceived Naomi at 46 naturally. People always ask
Mm-hmm.
that question: was it IVF? No, it was a spontaneous, surprise, natural, out of the blue conception. Okay,
Okay.
so that happened at 46. I delivered her at 47. So at the time of this interview, I'm 48. I'll be 49 in December. So that's where we're at. Um, and I realized that I have more energy now at this stage of the game than I did in my 20s, which is
Mm.
kind of interesting for me to realize, but it's true. And I don't think that my energy reserve per se is more now. But when I was in my 20s, I didn't know how to care for myself well enough. There's been a lot of education that I've had to go through to not tax my energy so that I'm maintaining myself better, so that I'm not as tired. Like, I was taking naps chronically in my 20s. And even if I wasn't able to get to that nap, I wanted one. I was thinking about sleep so much in my 20s, like just it was a mess. And so I want to just kind of share with some women things that have changed between my 20s and 30s. I would say about my mid 30s, things started to even out, right? As far as my discipline and understanding of what to do. But I want to say that if you want to have good energy at this age, the first thing that you need to do is make sure you have a good partner. Like the person who's closest to you cannot be your biggest energy drain. And when I was in my 20s and lower 30s, I was pretty good at dating men or committing to men who were taxing and stressful. Whether it was lying to me, doing weird things like saying that he'll show up and then not, disappearing, no longer available for phone calls, hours at a time, like just whatever. The pettiness can start to wear on your energy. It just does. And I had somebody who's close to me refer to Lauren as my soulmate. He was like, "It's so good you found your soulmate." And I was like, this man is, I would not call him my soulmate. He is my sanity mate. He is the first in a very long time who has come along that does not try my sanity for sport. Right? He is not doing things or saying things to make me question myself. It doesn't mean that we don't never argue or have disagreements, but it never turns into personal attacks against me to make me introvert into myself. Never. So I have energy. I've regained energy just by having a man that upholds me.
Ooh,
Can,
okay.
can we go to church? I'm like that's step number one. Step number two is you just can't be pouring alcohol and drugs down your body and expect for it to work. I was in Las Vegas for a while, and I've never been like an extreme party girl. Like I've never been a weed smoker. I've never been an alcoholic. X, all that kind of, like I never got into that. But I did go through a phase where I would say I was drinking too much. Like when I did drink, wow, I drank I had 5 drinks tonight. Like that's too much. Like I went through that short phase where I was doing that to myself. And so, that's not good. That's going to tax your adrenals. That's going to tax your liver. That's going to break your immune system down. And then, trying to stay up, drinking Red Bull. I would drink Red Bull and then take 2 Advil. I found out one night by accident I had a bad headache, but I wanted to go out. So I was like, so I needed energy and I needed to get rid of the headache, right? So I took the Advil to get rid of the headache. I drank the Red Bull for the energy.
You was ready to go.
4 o'clock in the morning. I feel so great. I feel so great. This is amazing. So that became my go-to. I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna take 2 Advil and drink a Red Bull. No wonder your sleep cycles all out. I can't sleep, so now I'm gonna drink NyQuil. I'm gonna take. So I was doing dumb stuff, right? Just like that's not how you take care of your body. You take care of your body. You sleep. You take calcium. You take magnesium. If you want to sleep, if you want to calm your nerves, and if you don't have energy, then you need to probably get some rest. Eat a good meal and not go out.
That part. Yeah.
Yeah.
That part.
By just hydrating, taking my supplements, going to bed when I'm tired, you know what I mean? Like the simple things, I have more energy now.
Well, I'm gonna go back to number one real quick. When you
Less.
called your boo your sanity mate. I will say this. When you have the right partner, it's a different type of peace.
Yes.
It's a different type of peace. So my husband and I were friends for 10 years before we started dating.
Yeah.
We were friends so long, I used to babysit my stepdaughter. Okay. So I tell people all the time that my husband, he is the calm in my storm. I am the storm, okay?
Mm.
Because I'm very sporadic, and my husband is very just kind of even keeled. He's the same way all the time. Now, I'm not going to say that we don't have disagreements, but we don't argue.
Yep.
We will take a break
Mm-hmm.
until we both can calm down and come back and talk about the situation with level heads. There
Yep.
are no personal attacks on each other, but he is my safe space. He is what keeps me grounded. And I
Yes.
think that's why it works. And because because I have him, it allows me to sit down and interview beautiful people like you, because I know that downstairs, because my kids aren't asleep, I know that downstairs, daddy has them. Daddy's going to take
Mm-hmm.
care of them so that I can do what I need to do. And I thank God for my husband, because I wasn't exactly, the most mature person, and I did a lot of the same things, in and out of different relationships, toxic, just
Yeah.
horrible things that I've done to my body. I've done the Advil and the Red Bull, and I've done the
Mm-hmm.
NyQuil, and the melatonin, whatever you want to call it, and just like when I was in my 20s, of course at that time we think we're invincible, like nothing can happen. And
Mm-hmm.
then you hit 30 and you wake up with that back pain.
Yeah.
And then 35, your knees start to hurt. Like, damn, what happened?
Exactly. Like, what is happening?
What is happening to me? But it is very important to have the right partner. It is
Mm-hmm.
just it's extremely important, because me and my husband have the relationship that we have. There is a peace in our home. We are
Yep.
not raising our children in chaos and toxicity. And both of us work very hard to maintain that level of peace in our home for them, because they need it.
That's
They
right.
need it.
It's their security. Like, it's interesting you say that, because I've noticed it with Naomi. If he and I get into even like a heated discussion where I say, no, I think Facebook is better than Instagram, hypothetical. And
Mm-hmm.
he's like, no, right? It's about nothing, but it's getting a little heated. You see
Mm-hmm.
Naomi, she goes, her little eyes, and she starts
Oh.
whining. And I'm like, oh, she thinks we're fighting. And then I realized one day he and I were, he comes home from work and he's like, hey, honey. And he gives me a kiss, and I give him a kiss, and we're kissing each other. And she's like this. And so now we have this thing where we'll like kiss each other, and
Mm-hmm.
she'll go, and she'll start going with a big smile
Oh.
on her face. But she can tell the difference.
Yeah.
And the destabilization that comes when she even thinks that we're having an argument versus when she sees the love and the sweetness. She's only 14 months now, and she
Oh,
already
wow.
knows. So it's so important. Like, these children are so aware. They're so aware. And the stability and comfort that they have so that they can flourish and be interested in life it's our job to bring that. It's our job to bring that. So anyway,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And that starts even during pregnancy. You need to be able to have a calm pregnancy, because all those emotions, like, you're carrying somebody else who
Yep.
can feel each and every emotion that you have, but they don't know how to process it. They don't even know what emotions are. They have no idea what's happening. So, when your nervous system is out of whack, it makes their nervous system out of whack, because they are directly attached to you. So
Oh,
it's very important to have a peaceful pregnancy,
that's right. That's
So,
right. I remember having a hormonal fit when I was pregnant, mad because he didn't tell me that I was pretty for a long time. I remember the argument. And he was just like, and it was a Friday, and he was tired, so he probably went at his best to receive this. And he was just like, what? And so a whole argument ensued because he hadn't told me that I was pretty. And it was late at night. It started getting more heated and more heated. And then eventually Naomi just started kicking. She just started kicking. And
oh,
I said, I need to pull it together. It was one of them just poor thing. But yeah, they do know. They know, they perceive. And even if they don't know what it is, feelings are either good or bad.
yeah,
Or they could be a null feeling, I guess. Right? But you feel a certain way. It either feels good or feels bad. And they know. And so
yeah,
we definitely have to be mindful of that as parents, for sure. Pregnant and postpartum.
absolutely. So I had one of those moments too before we move on. When I was like newly pregnant. I think I met a couple of months, and my husband and I, it was my oldest daughter's birthday, so I think we met up at Dollar Tree so I could get some balloons to take home to her. And I had parked across the street, and he wouldn't let me walk across the street by myself, and I threw a fit. I mean, I was heated. I'm a grown woman. I can walk across the street. I got this. I mean, it's funny now. It wasn't funny then.
Oh, in the moment, it is the most serious thing. Yeah, it's up there with the elections. It is so serious in the moment.
I just remember him looking at me like, okay, Tasha. Okay.
Like, okay.
Um, so feels like I'm kind of putting the cart before the horse, but can you tell us about your pregnancy story? Like, tell us about how you found out, what your emotions were at the time. Tell us your story.
Good. So my story is interesting. So my story starts like this. My father, I live in Florida. Parents were in California. My father was involved in a horrifically bad car accident. And I'm proud. I like to shout out who my dad is, especially to this viewership, because they know. If you watch Magnum PI, my dad was TC from Magnum PI, the helicopter pilot and things. And gives you an idea of his stature, his presence. And even into his 80s, he was working out at the gym, 3, 4, 5 days a week, right? He's still a strong, fit guy, even at 83. Got into a car accident, left my dad paralyzed from the neck down. This is extremely, like, just the most horrifying thing, but mentally he was still there, right? And so I was in a hospital, and we were working out his survival, right? Like what was his physical fitness going to be like? I was very stressed out at the time. So because I was not sleeping, I was not eating, and I was just generally sad and unhappy, I was taking a lot of supplements. And I have a suspicion that this prepped my body for conception. So I was in California for about a month dealing with my dad, and due to just a series of very effed up complications, he perished. He passed. And so finally I get to come back home to Florida, and the weekend I return, I conceive. Like, I know the exact weekend because I hadn't been home.
Yeah.
Right? I had been gone back and forth enough to know, like, okay, this is when it happened. Now, how did I know? I'm expecting my period. So I start taking progesterone. I had leftover progesterone. I had a miscarriage when I was 45. And during that miscarriage, my progesterone was low, and we were trying to salvage the pregnancy. So the doctor put me on progesterone. So I still had some left because I found that it did help manage period cramps and things like that. So I come home, I'm expecting my period. I pop out the progesterone, and I have no energy. Like, no energy. And I can't figure out what's wrong with me. Now, mind you, I just come from dealing with my dad where I had untold energy. Like, I was just like probably burning on fumes, but I had energy because I'm like handling everything. I'm handling the estate. I'm handling mom, handling dad. I had energy. And then I come home and I'm crashed out. I'm like, what is wrong? Now, progesterone has on its label that it can make you drowsy and things like that, but it never made me feel that way. So I'm like, wow, something is wrong. Then my period doesn't show up. Day one, and my period was like clockwork. Like, I had it on an app. I knew. Period doesn't show up day one. Period doesn't show up day two. I'm extremely exhausted. I'm like, go take a test. Like, I don't know. Like, some told me go take the test. Came back positive. I was like, you got to be kidding me. So, but the line very faint, right? So then I'm like, well, let's take another one. The next day, let me see if the line disappeared. Let me take another one. So that's how I found out that I'm pregnant. It was the progesterone, because basically my body was producing progesterone, and then I'm taking the supplement, and that's why I was so exhausted.
Okay.
Go figure. So anyway, we get past that. I stopped taking that progesterone, and I'm waiting for the shoe to drop. I'm not getting excited about this pregnancy because I already had one miscarriage. So I'm not excited about it. I'm kind of happy. But nervous, unsure. And so as the weeks, the months start to progress forward, and people, find out that I'm pregnant, but they watch my reaction about it, and they go, "Are you happy?" And I'm like, "Yeah, well, I'm cautiously optimistic. Like, I don't want to get too happy." So that's kind of a ridiculous attitude to have while pregnant. And this is how I started sharing my journey on social media, because I realized that there's a very piss poor attitude to have about bringing life. Even though I had that past failure, that was in the past. This is a new pregnancy. You got to come at it with a new attitude. And this is why I started sharing my journey on social media. It was a means to handle my own fear. And so I was like, I'm just going to tell my story. I'm going to tell everybody that I'm pregnant. But it was for selfish reasons. It was for me.
Mm.
So, then it just becomes about tracking those milestone markers, right? So I made it past 6 weeks. Then I made it past 13 weeks. Okay. And then I get the 12-week ultrasound and the heartbeat looks good and the measurements look good. And I got my little photo of my baby. This one, where you
Oh,
see the little head, it all looks,
oh,
it's starting to look
yeah,
real now. Ooh, it's like,
yeah.
okay, she got feet.
Hey,
I see feet.
she's got feet. That's a
She
good
got
start.
feet. Okay, there's a nose. Like, oh, this is like really happening. Okay. Then, I did the non-invasive prenatal test where they test for chromosomal abnormalities and they tell you the
Mm-hmm.
sex of the baby. She's low risk for everything. That test looks good. Okay, like every test that they throw at me is coming back good. The 20-week anatomy scan, it's all good. I'm like,
Oh,
this
this
is
is
really,
real.
this is real. This is real. Now, there was a moment after this ultrasound, I believe this was like 12-week ultrasound. In fact, it was 11 weeks, 6 days.
Mhm.
Lauren buys the stroller. I got so mad because this is a gradual building up of confidence, right? So that
Mhm.
ultrasound was a confidence builder, but he done went out and bought the stroller. I remember fighting with him. You're putting too much pressure on me. It's too much pressure. Buddy, me. And he goes, I saw that heartbeat. The baby is coming. He had no doubt. He saw because he was at that ultrasound. He saw that baby. He heard the heartbeat. He didn't have any doubts. But me, Kim Kardashian,
Yeah,
cried. You know that face,
I do.
That Kim K
I do.
face.
Mm-hmm.
That was me, girl. Kim K face at 12 weeks. But just eventually the confidence came, and then I want to say it was like at 28 weeks. It's like the milestone where the baby could survive outside the womb prematurely. When we hit that milestone, I was like, we made it. Every week after that, every week that I made it after that 28th week, the confidence was just through the roof.
Yeah. Yeah, that is amazing. And I think not only because of your situation, because you're an older mom, but even for me, or any mom that's pregnant, like, oh my God, what could happen? What could go wrong? What did I do? Because there was a couple of times, oh, not a couple of times, I say all three of my kids was probably conceived off of alcohol. So,
Happens, right?
and before I found out that I was pregnant, I was like, oh my God, like 6 margaritas.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's still a worry, even if you are younger, even if you are relatively healthy, anything can go wrong. But just like you, I had those same milestones especially with my youngest son, because I delivered James 6 months before I turned 40,
Yeah.
and I was like, of course, I'm sure they didn't mean any harm by it, but I was considered a geriatric pregnancy, and in my head, I'm like, who the you call it geriatric, right?
It's so rude.
So
It's so rude.
it is rude, right? They were like, you're high risk because of your age, mom. And I'm like,
Did they give you the high
okay.
risk because your age and you're black? Did they
Yes.
throw? Mm,
Yes.
yep.
Yes, they did. Um, and so when I first found out that I was pregnant, like the first pregnancy test that I took with James came back negative. So I was like, I'm good. Just like you, my cycle didn't show up. So I took another pregnancy test. And like I said, all of this was through COVID.
Yeah.
And I put the test down and I came back, and this time the line was bright pink. So I didn't even tell my husband at first. I called his cousin Ansley. She's like, my sister, we're like this.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, this isn't a drill. This isn't a drill. Did you see my text message? This is the real thing. And so it wasn't until I think I was probably about 6 weeks when I had my first appointment and I was able to see the heartbeat. And I was like, oh, this the real thing here. And then I followed and tracked those milestones. And then once I got to 28 weeks, I was like, okay, 32
Mm-hmm.
weeks. All right. And then when you get
Yeah.
toward the end, those weekly appointments, I was like, oh, this is really happening here.
It's really going down. But
This is,
then how about this last little touch of fear of you them not wanting you to go past 40 weeks because the increased risk of stillbirth. So now you've made it this far, belly is big, baby is vibrant, and now they're telling you, but you could lose it. It's like, oh,
yeah. Yeah. So
yeah.
with Corey was born at 9 pounds half ounce, right?
Woo,
And I,
big boy.
yeah, no, my daughter, her name's
So, oh,
Corey.
Corey's the daughter. Sorry, yes.
Yes. So, 9 pounds half ounce, and I'm not a very big person, so I ended up having a scheduled C-section to get her out, right? Because they felt like me trying to deliver her naturally would do me more harm than good. So I had a scheduled C-section. I kept the same OB with my son James, and um, when I talked to her, she was like, "Okay, we'll schedule your C-section for 39 weeks in a day." I'm like, "I'm 3 months pregnant." She was like,
Wow, they
well,
told you that
well,
at 3 months?
yes, yes. And so, she was like, yeah, because you're older and you're a black mom, the risk is higher. I'm like, okay, whatever. So
Yeah.
I had another scheduled C-section. I picked my son's birth date, and I had a scheduled C-section January 5th of 2021,
Wow.
39 weeks in a day.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
Wow. That's
so
crazy. Yeah, it's interesting just the journey. Now you're never really allowed to relax fully. Like I couldn't believe that stillbirth threat. That I made it this
yeah,
far and now I got to worry about stillbirth. You kidding me?
yeah, like don't do that.
Mm-mm.
That you could have kept that to yourself, or you could have delivered it another way. But yeah, so I'm glad that Naomi's here because she's a beauty. She's so gorgeous.
Thank you. Thank you.
Um, so what was the hardest part about being pregnant after 40? Well, you don't really have anything to compare it to, but what did you struggle with during your pregnancy?
I think out of everything, the hardest part was getting. Let me take that back. The hardest part was one, as I just mentioned just a few minutes ago, relaxing and being excited for fear of losing the baby.
Mm-hmm.
That was very, very hard. Like just not being able to relax so much so that other people were questioning, was I even happy to be pregnant?
Mm-hmm.
Because I was just scared to get excited, only to have a letdown. Once I got past that, it was the very end, the concern of stillbirth. And then on social media, uh, algorithms feeding me content of women who lost their babies and making the mistake of watching one,
Wow.
bawling my
Yeah.
eyes out, just because you're so connected to your baby. Once that baby like starts moving, and there's a dynamic, there's an interaction. You eat certain foods, the baby reacts. You talk to the baby kicks, right? And so there's this relationship. This is like your little person, right? And you guys are together,
Yeah.
and there's this bond, and then you're so looking forward to meeting this person, but you've got this looming cloud that's been placed over your head that you might not ever meet this person,
Yeah.
or you could do something to make it so that you got this far, but oops, I hated that.
Yeah.
That was the hardest part, honestly.
Yeah. Those social media algorithms are a beast. I was on TikTok a few weeks back, and I watched a mom who was talking about child loss or whatever. And I just
Mm.
watched the video. It seemed interesting. And then from then on, I kept getting videos of moms who had lost their child. And okay, now that my kids are here, of course, that's always going to be a fear in the back of my mind. Anything can happen. It's just life, right?
Right.
But I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to be reminded of the what ifs in the world, okay?
Yeah. And that's where the media and social media, they thrive on fear mongering. There's a thriving that comes from that. And I catch some backlash from women sometimes because they feel like I need to present the other side of pregnancy, like I'm too optimistic, right? And I shouldn't encourage women, without also telling them about the risk. And I'm like, why? I had a perfectly healthy pregnancy, I have a perfectly healthy baby, and I'm perfectly healthy now on the postpartum end. I have a very happy story. If you want to hear bad news, go somewhere else. But I have dedicated my page to being the safe place. You won't come to my page and be blindsided with bad news.
Yeah.
Now, unless the bad news happens to me, right? And then it's a part of my story and I feel compelled to tell it. Well, okay. But otherwise, you're not going to come to my page and get blindsided with, facts and statistics about how bad it all is, because it's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. So you come to me, I'm the source of hope. I'm the source of good news that it can actually all be okay, because women need that reassurance. The bad news is everywhere else. Like, I don't
Yeah.
need to be contributing to it.
Yeah. And I think that your page has like a good balance. Like, I love your story because, yes, you are a mom that conceived later in your 40s, but you were happy prior to that. And, society will make women feel bad for not wanting to be a mom at a certain age. Oh, you're 25 and you don't have any kids yet? No, because I'm still out here in these streets. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes.
It's not something that you're ready for. And I think that society will pressure you into doing some things that you're not ready for just for the status quo. But that's selfish to you, that's selfish to your partner, and that's also selfish to that child, because you have to be in the right mindset to be a mom.
You sure do. You sure do. And I was doing a live the other day, and a lady was saying how, she's feeling the pressure to be a mom because all of her friends have children, right? They're married and they have children, and she's still single. And I ran into that when I graduated college. I went to Georgia Tech in Atlanta. So we're in the South, right? And all of my girlfriends, like, my crew in college, pretty rapidly went off and started making babies, getting married and making babies. And they became very closed, right? They started going into their world of family. And so I became extremely lonely, just extremely sad and extremely lonely. So I picked up and I moved. I moved to Las Vegas. I started looking into graduate schools, and that's how I wound up in Las Vegas. And then I found myself in a community of people who were my age, but they had other goals, right? They
Mm-hmm.
weren't about just like hurrying up to get married and go have children. They wanted to pursue their careers. They wanted to pursue their education. And so then I found a new group. And not that I broke ties with all those friends necessarily, but I just had to have friends that wanted to be around me,
Yeah.
because all those friends, they just went into a whole nother realm. And I have to tell that lady, I don't know if it's feasible or not, but you may have to relocate yourself or get involved in things where people are not just all about that. Because I do have friends at this very age that never had children.
Mm-hmm.
It does happen. Some are childless by choice, right? And then, I found another term that I like, childless by circumstance. Like, some of us, like, I didn't intentionally wait until my mid 40s to have a baby. Like, I don't think any woman is intentionally waiting that long. They may wait till their mid 30s, right?
Yeah.
But by this point, there's something else happening. Either medically, something is going wrong, abusive relationships, wrong relationships. Like, there's something that caused us to push this far out,
Yeah.
right? And so, anyway, here I am. I kind of lost my train of thought on that one, where I was going. But, just the fact that sometimes you have to just find a new group where you can feel comfortable and not feel pressured just because you haven't done it yet. That worked very well for me. And I was extremely happy once I did that.
And you bring a good point up. Children change relationships.
Mm-hmm.
They change. Your life changes, so your priorities change. And it's not that, um, like, I have one friend that doesn't have any kids. She's around your age. She doesn't have any kids, and I know that she wants them. And she's complete, because everybody else around her, our friend group, everybody else has children,
Yeah.
and she understands, like, hey, it ain't that I don't want to hang out with you. It's not that I don't want to be on the phone with you 2, 3 hours. Well, I don't want to talk to anybody for 2, 3 hours, but
Yeah.
I have other priorities and other responsibilities. And that's why I think it is important to find your village. And
Mm-hmm.
those villages change. People evolve. Life circumstances cause change. And when things happen, you have to kind of roll with the punches. And so I told another one of my friends that I cannot do needy friendships.
Yeah.
The energy.
Yeah.
I've got two little kids, two adult children, and my adult children have children. Okay. So everybody needs something. Of course, the
Hmm.
two little ones are here with me. Got it. My adult daughter, Kaya, she just recently had a baby.
Yeah,
And
beautiful.
oh God, Dallas, I love him so much. But she had a baby July 14th. And so she has another son. So I had to drop everything that I was doing and get down to Florida so that I could take care of my grandson that was already here so
Yeah.
that my child and her husband would be able to focus on the new baby. So I stayed down
Hmm.
there for a week. I had to readjust my schedule. But, you know, I just can't do needy friendships right now. I'm in
Yeah.
school, I do this, I work, I got children. So, hey, can I call you September 13th at 5? Will you be free? I'll be free. That's all I got for you right now. I am so sorry. And as my children get older and they start doing their own things, because my 3 year old, he is my baby. He's lovey, clingy. Like I tell everybody, every night I go to sleep with my husband, every morning I wake up with my son. I don't know how it works, but whatever. But my 7 year old Corey, she's older now. So while she still needs me, you can kind of see that she's getting into her own personality and she's evolving and she's doing her own thing. And I know that the closer she gets to 13, is she's going to drift a little bit further and she's not going to need me as much, which it will hurt me on the inside. But I know that I also have to respect her individuality and independence. So
Right.
then that will free up a little bit more time.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, it's very, very true. No time for the needy friendship. So I was just like, I guess I'll move. And yeah, it's interesting in motherhood now. My phone calls are often, okay, I'm driving to the store, so I have 5 minutes, so let me call. And that'll probably change too when Naomi starts talking because, I'm mindful of not just always ignoring her, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
So yeah, it's very true. The dynamics do change, and you do have to have friendships that roll with the punches for sure. But anyway, girl, it's all very interesting.
yeah.
Um, just the life changes and the transitions of it all. How is it having a 7-year-old daughter? Like how was it getting her through toddlerhood and then to where she is now? A lot of work or pretty
So
easy?
my child, so the family joke is that Corey has been here before. My child has this huge personality. Like when my baby walks into a room, you're gonna know she's there.
Yeah.
Okay. See, she sashays her little body everywhere. I'm like, you're gonna break something. You're 7, and by the time you're 10, your hips are gonna be broken. Okay. Get your hands off your imagination. So,
Oh my gosh.
it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of work,
Yeah.
but it's been a lot of fun because Corey, she's like super intelligent. So,
Mhm.
and she picks up on things really quickly. So right now what we're working on is just because you think it don't necessarily mean you gotta say it. Okay. So that's what we're working on. And Corey actually started talking around 18 months. So by the time she was 2, it wasn't like I could say, oh, she didn't say that. No, you heard her. She
She's
said it. She said it. So it's just a lot of fun to watch her um, just become her own person. She's so very sure of herself and she's very confident and she's very intelligent, and I love that. And I guess I am in a space right now where I want her personality to flourish, but I also want her to be respectful and empathetic. I want her to still take up space, but I don't want her to like steamroll over anybody either. So we're
yeah.
trying to manage that. But
Yeah.
Corey, she's just very out loud.
Mm-hmm.
She gives me a confidence that I wish I had at her age.
Oh wow. That's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. So what would you say has been the most challenging, like transitioning from baby to toddler on either one of them? Because now both.
Yeah. So with Corey, it's like having an argument with myself. Now, Corey looks like her daddy, but that is my child.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's not like I can just shoot her some BS and she's going to go with it. She's like, but mom, you said last week that didn't make sense. And I looked at it. And when I talked to Siri said this, mom. I'm like, go away.
Not Siri interjecting in the relationship. Not
Okay.
Siri.
So it's almost like having a debate with a miniature me, right? And it can be very taxing. And my daughter, she talks non-stop from the time she wakes up to the time she goes to sleep. So that has been very challenging because when they talk like that, they can't focus on anything else, right? So I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, you're a second grader now, so I'm gonna need you to zip it a little bit so that you can learn and process this information. I know that you've got so much that you want to share with the world, but there's a time and place for everything.
Okay.
Now, with James being my baby and my only boy, um, I'm not gonna. We have attachment issues, me and him. We do.
Okay.
He is my baby, so I'm trying to hold on to him being a baby, and I know I have to let him grow up. Um, but just trying to let him go and discover his own personality. He does have a really big personality too, but he's still at the point where he's still looking back before he does things like, Mom, is this okay? Mom, can I do that? He's always still looking for me. And
Cool.
that
Yeah.
is good. And I suspect that as he gets older, it will, die off a little bit. But I think the saddest part in all this for me is that I know that they're only little for a little while.
Mm.
And then they grow up and I have to release them to live their lives. And that's a little heartbreaking.
I know. When people ask me if I want a second one, this is the thing for me. This newborn phase went so fast. This baby phase has gone so fast. Like, she's only 14 months, but like I said already, she can lay down on the floor and do her fake tantrum, and she already, her little fake cry and all these things. And I'm like, we have a toddler already?
Yeah.
That went so fast. Yes, I want to have another baby so bad because it just goes too fast.
So fast.
And then I see women pregnant or with their newborn. I'm just like I want to do it again. I won't, but I understand.
Yeah. I got my fill of baby fever when I went down to go see my daughter. And I was like, oh my goodness, he's so cute. I love him. And I just want to smell him and I want to kiss him. And then he started screaming at 3 a.m. And I was like, I don't miss that part. I don't miss that.
Yeah. This like there are some tough times you make it through, and you have to evaluate. Like, do I really want to go back?
Really? No.
No. You just want to hold the baby and have recapture that. But no, I don't want all the other stuff that was attached to it.
No,
right?
Definitely.
And so that's what I think about. I'm like, okay, so I have this toddler, and she still likes to be picked up and carried here and there. She wants to crawl on top of me, and then I have to actually do that. Plus, carry and bear life again. It's no. Not at this age.
No, I'm good on that. Yeah. I'll go with other people's kids. That makes it a lot better. So, pregnancy over 40 is your passion project.
It is.
So how do you balance being a mom, having a partner, and Naomi, and doing your passion project? How do you balance all of that together?
So I've started to be able to rely on the almighty daycare. I have to buy some time. I have to buy some hours. Because I don't have family here, right? Like that. I have my mom here, but my mom is not capable of taking care of Naomi, right? So I don't have a family system where, grandparents or aunties where I can just really just drop her off like that. Like, some people have that. I don't. So, but I do, around the corner from me, have a very, very lovely in-home daycare that I can call on to buy my hours. That's been the biggest game changer right now, because otherwise nothing gets done ever. So that's how I get that time. He and we navigate each other. We have a good routine with her, like when she wakes up, when she's going to bed, nap time, and things like that. Like, we have that fairly well worked out, so that then when she's sleeping, when he and I have time together, we can get things done. And he's
Yeah.
a big support system for me. I'm building my pregnancy over 40 brand, like, all morning long. Like, he's setting up, my Google profile pages. He's setting up my Shopify. He's doing the SEO. Like, he's building all the back end because he has a background in marketing. He used to work for a marketing agency. So he's got a
Okay.
mind. So he's back there like building the whole back end infrastructure. And then suddenly you're going to look up, you'll be like, this girl's everywhere. That's because he did that for me. He did that for me because he knows how to do it and he knows what to do. So we work very hard on this because we have a very specific game plan and direction that we're going. And if it all pans out well, then great. This is our family business because it is such a hot and important subject. And, sometimes God works in mysterious ways, but we couldn't have seen this one coming. But who is really, truly caring for women who want to conceive after 40? Who's being an inspiration source, an enlightenment source? Who's being a friendly source of information? Who's being a cheerleader? Who's pointing out proper products? Who's pointing out fertility experts? Like, it's not a saturated field right now. Like, it's an uncared for niche. We see it and we believe in it because I am so happy being a mom and being a mom at this phase. And again, I'm very clear. I always make sure that people understand. I recognize I'm not what's probable statistically, but I do stand for what is possible. But certainly a woman who is 38, 39, 40 shouldn't be as worried about things as she is.
Yeah.
She shouldn't be. Right. And so by watching my story, by watching my journey, women can be encouraged. And this is something really big. And it's just like I said, it's uncatered to. It's uncatered to. Women are really out there fighting for themselves. I can't tell you how many DMs I've gotten where the doctors have already told the woman that there's no chance. And she still DMs me saying, well, what did you do?
Yeah.
She's not ready to give up hope yet. These women are not ready to give up hope despite what their doctors told them. So fine, I'll be a resource, build the resource platform for women. So that's where I'm at.
And I love that because it's almost kind of like women who are in their 40s, if they haven't conceived yet, they kind of just want to write them off. Like, there's just no hope for you. And that's not fair,
It's not fair and it's not true.
Yeah. I get what science says, but the laws of nature, y'all can't do anything about that. And y'all can't control the laws of nature as much as you want to. You can't control the laws of nature. So I love the fact that you are a beacon of hope for, women everywhere who still want to have that family, that still want to have that baby. You let them know that it is possible. And I love that.
It's possible. And not only that, I have women who follow me that they're in their upper 20s, in their lower 30s. And I'm able to also give them the message that nobody gave me anyway. And that is, in your 30s, doctors are not having fertility conversations with you like they should. They're not asking you about your fertility goals. They're not checking your hormone levels and letting you know where you're at early. They're not asking you if you want to know about your egg quality. Do you want to freeze your eggs? Are you married? Do you know where you want to go? They're not planting the seeds for those conversations the way that they should be. So my platform also gives women who are not here yet, but are looking at it, things that they can be doing ahead of time to be causative over their fertility. You can protect your fertility if someone is telling you what to do. And it's telling you where you're at and it's telling you what you're missing or what you have too much of, to be working with you so that when you are 38 and you're married and everything is stable, good. It's not a struggle. You're not 42 scrambling, trying to figure it out. You see? And so that's the other role that I see myself playing, because my lives are full of ladies in their early 30s who's like, I found you and I'm so glad because my family is pushing, or I'm still single and I don't know what to do. And now you're giving me hope. And now I can see I can do this and I can do that. And, oh, I didn't think to talk to my doctor. Oh, thanks for letting me know.
Yeah. They don't push that information about women's health. What they want to do is try to control women's health instead of giving us the information, like, inform us, educate us on what we can and can't do, or how we should better care for our bodies instead of worrying about birth control and abortions. There's other things to talk about. a myriad of things that we could discuss when it comes to women's health. But these are the two topics that y'all choose to focus on, but that is another podcast topic for another day.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, we got to be mindful of the narratives that are being pushed out there. So, we each choose our lane, and I'm happy my following is just growing and growing and growing. So it is a message that women are looking for, and it transcends across the generations. 20, 30, 40-year-old women, they're all tuning in. Women of low means, high powered women. Like, I have them all. Like, I have women just across the spectrum who are listening in, and it really let me know. I had a lady with 91 million followers, like a reel. And I said, you know why? And I looked at who she was. I won't say who she was.
Mm-hmm.
Very high power, 91 million followers. And I looked, and she's so powerful. She's in her 40s, and she has no children. And I said my message resonated with her. Even her. I'm starting to figure it out. I'm like, this subject of fertility is so private and so sensitive. It's so sensitive, right? And so anyway, we keep pushing the message, and I'll just get better and better and better at connecting up fertility experts and nutritionists and any kind of person that can help a woman conceive, particularly naturally, is what I'm going after.
Well, Chia, thank you for your thoughts and your time. Do you have any final thoughts to give my listeners?
Just know that it's possible. Know that motherhood is worthwhile. Like, it is worth every effort that you're going for to get it, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you are not able to conceive, though, know that there's still so much joy to be had in life.
Yeah.
Children are not the make break of happiness. You got to be happy with the baby or without the baby, right?
Yeah.
And if you never conceive, it doesn't mean that you're any less than. Not at all. Not at all. And there's a whole life left to live, and you just find yourself a good partner or not.
Yeah.
And learn to do things that satisfy you, and you'll be fine.
Chia, where can my listeners find you? Drop all your handles for me, please.
Everywhere. He's working on it right now. But mainly Instagram. Mm-hmm. So on Instagram, I am pregnancy over 40, FORTY. On TikTok, I am pregnancy over 40, the number 40. I also now have a YouTube channel, which is pregnancy over 40 as well, FORTY. And the beautiful thing about my YouTube channel is every podcast interview that I've ever done, like this one, can be found there. So if you have questions about my story, my pregnancy journey, my fertility journey, any of it, things that weren't even covered here are covered in other podcasts, and you can find those on my YouTube channel. And then one day, in the very near future, I will also have my own podcast.
Yeah. I'm so excited. Hey. I'm so excited. So, villagers, I hope that you got something out of this episode. I know I did. Chia is very insightful, very thoughtful, and I just love her journey. So if you are in this position and you want to conceive children, check out pregnancy over40.com. And if nobody else has told you today, I'm telling you right now, I love you, and I will see you next time. Bye. Next time on the Village Motherhood Edition podcast.
Our neighbor came over, the dad, and he asked to speak with Danny. I was cooking dinner, and he proceeds to tell Danny about this incident that just happened. And what happened was his son, the 9-year-old, and our youngest, the 4-year-old, or the youngest who was out there, the 4-year-old Winston, he was outside, and so was their 11-year-old. So both of their kids, 9, 11, and our 4-year-old, are all outside. And a couple of teenage boys drive by on a golf cart, and they say, "Why are you white kids playing with that brown one, that black one?" My boys, they don't see black like that. They refer to their skin as brown because our skin is brown and your skin is brown. You know, I've never met anyone whose skin is black. You know, but anywho, but they said, "Why are you playing with that black kid?"